Dude, you're nuts. What are you gonna do when Theandro finds out you pulled the mystic wool over his eyes? What do you mean? Well, you both live here on Brea. You're eventually going to cross paths with him, I would assume. And when you do, I'd imagine he's going to be pretty upset. Huh. I never thought of that, actually. I was just wanting to get this place juiced up as quickly as I could and didn't feel like traveling off-world to get it. He'll probably be fine. Theandro and I have history together. Yeah, but isn't it, like, mostly bad history? You know, where you involve him in these epic sagas against his will and usually ends with him. Nonsense! Theandro loves adventure. We're thick as thieves, him and I. You worry too much, my friend. No sense in worrying about tomorrow today, you know. That's how you get wrinkles. Maybe. I'm sure you're right. Anyway, before I forget, because this joint is getting me ridiculously high already, thank you again. All signs are pointing to the Great Pool is taking place, and it's actually happening now. Wait, are you serious? That shouldn't happen for at least another century, maybe two. Why didn't you lead with that? Well, I was trying to, but then you were all souped up hyper about the joint, and then you wanted to tell me the story, and so I was trying to, wait for my, moment to jump in there. By the gods, man. Not only that, but Leonard has begun the gathering of the Chosen. Something has accelerated the start of the pool, and they're going to need our help. Leonard. That old firecracker. He's still around? I love that guy. A little too wild even for me, but damn, he's a good time. Well, shit. If Leonard is moving forward with another gathering, then it's certain the Great Pool has started. That dude doesn't fuck around. Must have something to do with the council. Well then, that's enough story time. I guess we should make haste. I'll start firing up my teleportation portal. Where is the gathering taking place? Fairmont. Fairmont. That place on the outskirts of the middle? Mad's place is there, right? Well, physically anyway. Great breakfast for your morning, and fantastic liquor selections for your evening. Not to mention, excellent selections on that jukebox. All right, well then, it's settled. The Traveler and I will meet you there. I'll let Leonard know you're activating your portal machine and we'll be there when it's fully charged. What's that take, a couple of days or so? Hey, you sound funny. Yeah, so do you. Whoa. Is it just me, or are these walls starting to get all wavy? It's not just the walls. You're wavy too. What? No way. I knew that wacky wizard's tobaccy was gonna be some next level shit. Wait, what? That was one of Theandro's alchemy rune crazy joint thingies? What's happening? Are you sure you're supposed to smoke those? What's happening? Oh, I have no idea. I just know Jester's grass and crazy root will fuck you up. Wait, what? What's happening? What's happening? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Is that a voice? What's happening? What's happening? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure my coffee table is starting to melt. Bale looked on in staunch disbelief as the coffee table in the center of his living room melted into a brown puddle right before his eyes. It started to boil like water in a pot and began expanding outward. The room's color changed from bright white to shades of green and red. Not the fun, jolly Christmas colors of green and red, no. Rather the colors of sickly mucus green and rusted metal red. He heard the guide start narrating the current set of events again. He turned his head to tell him how much it was creeping him out when he saw the guide already looking back at him, his eyes wide as humanly possible. You see, the guide also heard himself narrating the freaky scene that was taking place, and was going to tell Bale that he wasn't doing it. But all he could do was murmur loudly. He couldn't even feel his lips. Reaching up to touch his mouth with his hands, he quickly realized that his mouth was gone, no longer where lips should be. Just smooth flesh covering his teeth. Panic overtook them both as Bale watched in disbelief as the guide screamed the loudest muffled scream he'd ever heard. Desperately searching his face with his fingers, trying to find his absent mouth with his hands. His eyes, a frantic visage of horror that begged for Bale to help him. By God's man! What the holy fuck? In their joint fear frenzy, they didn't notice how the traveler flattened completely, slithering down off the couch like a mix between shadow and snake. They didn't see them reform into a solid shape again, or how they got on all fours and scurried across the floor and up the nearby wall. It continued up onto the ceiling, above and slightly behind the guide. He was so shook by this sudden upheaval of reality and missing mouth, he no longer paid attention to the words of the narrator, unable to take heed of the impending sinister intent of that collective entity. Instead, he sprang up, instinctually, flight mode taking over his body, trying to save himself from this deepening madness, to flee from that den of nightmares, that disturbing vestige of every ill thought anyone had ever thunk, all being thunked at once. But Bale could. He heard the narrator's account of the traveler's reformation and implied hidden intent. All he could do to try and warn the guide was point and mutter nonsense, whilst kicking out frantically with his legs, forcing himself as far as possible into his high-backed chair, the wooden legs screeching against the hard wood of the floor and quickly pushing it backwards until it slammed into the wall behind him. Further escape was no longer possible. Every known word of warning exploded from his brain and into his mouth at once. As he stammered out the beginnings but unfinished endings of words, he began fiercely, jab pointing above the guide's head, again and again. He couldn't articulate that the traveler had just shot a thick, wet gob of spiderweb onto the ceiling from under its robes, or how they were silently lowering themselves down over top of him. Their arms and legs were extended outwards, twitching slightly at the ends, like the sinew connecting the bone to the muscles could tear at any second. Barely able to contain the trap as about to eagerly spring upon him. Still holding his hands to his face and throat screaming out of his nose, he watched as Bale's fear impossibly trumped his own. Then it finally dawned on him what Bale was doing. It was written out in every intimation of every action he took. though conventional communication was impossible. It said, "Look out!
Run!
Hide! Can't!
Leave! Death!
I have to get away from it!
Death!
No escape! Can't! Don't look! Just move! Run! Leave! Escape!
Run!
I must run!
Clear thought was a fever dream of the past. But the guide understood.
He could recognize the universal language of a muscle memory warning. The thing you do when terror comes upon you so quickly, your whole body tries to propel itself away, while simultaneously striking out with every limb.
Like a squid shooting ink into the water, to desperately escape the monstrous shark that was trying to devour it.
It's like he was playing nightmare charades.
All right, our first contestant, the guide. All right, guide, what is Bale trying to do? Warn me? Correct. Warn you about... What? Something? Also correct. Something blank. Something bad? Also correct.
Final question.
Where is this thing at? Above me? Ding, 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 ding! That's correct! That is correct! It is above you! And oh boy, is it terrifying! Bale could only watch now, his tiptoes barely on the ground, violently gripping the chair and pushing backwards, as if to force himself inside its cushions. His body revolting in the knowledge of an
Unavoidably heinous act
that was about to commence. Fighting every instinct in his body, but
unable to do anything else, the guide slowly pulled his head back
and looked up. Shadows crept in from the corners, darkening the light in the room as an eerie stalemate of sound and motion mixed together. An ominous moment of silence and anxious anticipation filled the air, setting the scene as still as a painting. Even though he was looking right at it, his brain was unable to identify the thing suspended above him. It was so outside the realm of normalcy that it was impossible to tell exactly what it was. It was literally
incomprehensible.
So the stalemate lingered on, like the stench of a roadkill skunk stuck to the tires of a car. Then suddenly, 4 more arms burst out of the traveler's robe, shredding the garments off of it and onto the floor in a wide circle,
Exposing its naked skin.
8 muscular arms sparsely covered in short, hairy spines, but unmistakably human, adorned a grotesque abdomen that led up to a giant smiling mouth, like a mix between the Twizzler mouth and a xenomorph.
Or maybe venom
from the Marvel comics. Drool dripping from the edges of its lips, a huge fat tongue unable to lap it up fast enough.
No eyes, no ears, no nose.
Just a mouth full of canines, clearly made for ripping apart soft, tender flesh.
The guide released the new loudest guttural scream Bale had ever heard.
There wasn't enough airspace for it to escape through his nostrils, but it was forced through as it was the only place it could escape to.
Then the deafening screech of the beast made Bale release his vice grip on the armrest and cover his ears.
He turned his head away as far as possible, not wanting to see what was going to take place.
Yet his eyes remained open and transfixed on both of them.
The guide threw his arms up in instinctive defense and tried to fall to the ground. But before his body could reach the floor, those
Huge recoiled limbs snatched him out of the air like a bear trap being activated.
the sound of death curdles and bones breaking replaced the muffled screams and shrieking. The beast lowering itself to the ground, completely enveloping the sack of broken, involuntarily spasming meat.
That was his old friend.
Yes. Bale watched. He could do nothing else as the hulking beast sloppily sucked up his companion. The sound it made was like pulling the plug out of a full sink of dishwater,
where suction of air and bits of soggy meat and overly saturated noodles tried to clog the drain as they all vied for space in the plumbing below.
And it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. Then the boiling puddle of table in the middle of the room stopped boiling and started to spin. Slowly at first, a small whirlpool formed at its center. It quickly became larger and faster, twirling around like a liquid tornado, synchronizing itself with that terrible sound. The couch nearest the puddle just popped, liquidizing and adding to the furniture pool. Then everything started to pop, gushing water and adding mass to the ever-expanding vortex, like pimples on a teenager's face. Then the walls began sliding down, revealing shining metal behind them. His chair burst beneath him, splashing him onto the floor before the entire roof transformed into liquid. It was as if someone poked an invisible liner that had been holding it all in place, completely soaking Bale and the traveler monster. And let me tell you, it did not like that. No, sir, it did not like that one bit. Its legs uncurled from under the remains of its meal, which was swept away by the quickening current. Snarling and growling, its gnarled teeth clenched together in anger, it rose up. Arms trembling as if holding itself back took visible strain to do so. It had seemingly grown larger than it had been just a few minutes before, bits of guide and cloth stuck between its teeth. Bale frantically crab-walked backwards, trying to put some distance between the two of them, water splashing up in his nostrils and down his throat, choking him as he tried to simultaneously breathe, scream, and escape.
But there was no escape.
No doors, no windows, where once there were walls and floors.
Now,
Just smooth, shiny metal. The sparkling night sky in place of the roof above. He tried leaping up to grab the edge, but it was just out of reach. He spun around in a panic, looking for any means of exit, chest heaving in increased exhaustion. But he could see none. The water, ever rising. The thing, ever menacing. Now at full height, it released another shriek, increased in volume by its size, which again forced Bale to cover his ears. The monster exploded violently forward, splashing water up and away from under each one of its strides, every limb moving in that unpredictably random yet coordinated pattern of a spider scurrying out from its tunnel after feeling the vibrations of a meal in its web. Just as the guide had done, Bale threw his arms up in instinctual defense, the splashing water and fear of a painful demise, causing him to turn his head. Gritting his teeth together and making that incomparable sound one makes when they know this is really going to hurt. But then the shrieking shifted, from one of menace and intimidation to one of confusion and disarray. The sounds of skin skidding against metal echoed off the walls. Bale opened a cautious eye. Unconfident enough to open both, but curious enough to wonder what was happening. The beast had been swept away by the whirlpool's growing maelstrom. Struggling as it might, it could get no real footing on the stainless steel beneath it, flipping in and out of the water as it flailed around in increasingly smaller circles. Then, another terrifyingly familiar sound started overtaking that of the traveler monster. A loud, gargling, clanking sound of metal meeting metal. Opening his other eye and slowly lowering his arms, Bale realized the impossible situation he had found himself in. Just as assured as he was that it was impossible, he was made as equally certain that it was real, as he listened to the new Bale narrator confirm what he had just thought. He was inside a giant kitchen sink, a sink that was connected to a giant waste disposal. Round and round the drain octo-arms spun, futilely struggling against the ever-quickening currents that raced downwards towards a meat grinder of death. Right as it reached the gaping mouth of the drain, zipping over the precipice, the traveler monster fully extended all of its arms, just barely reaching the edge of the circle with the tips of his 40 fingers. The water had stopped rising now, and was emptying from the sink, still washing over it, but the pressure shifted from unmanageable to almost ready to pull myself out and eat Bale's face off.
Ew! Nasty little thing.
Looking up, Bale saw the originator of that correct assessment, and had never been happier to see his grouchy face in his life. Theandrel? Out of thin air, a faucet materialized above the enormous sink. Theandrel's giant arm extended past it and turned the faucet on. A huge torrent of water came gushing out and over top of the spider traveler man, straining as if its life depended on it, because it did. The disgusting abomination held firm, rising up ever so slightly against the unrelenting stream of water, gaining ground as it braced for a leap forward, away from imminent demise and towards a delicious Bale snack.
I think not, demon spawn. Not on my watch,
Theandrel said as he magically manifested a large wooden spoon in his hand. With a sharp, quick smack of the spoon on the back of the nightmare creature, it broke its grip on the rim of the drain and fell down into the disposal. It squealed for a second more before meeting its fate at the bottom, a geyser of blood erupting from the drain and mixing with the water swirling down.
Ha 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 ha! Fuck yes!
Bale exclaimed, a level of relief and joy washing over him, the likes of which he hadn't experienced in some time.
Thank the gods for you, Theandrel! Your timing was absolutely impeccable.
He shouted up at the towering Grandcaster as he reached back over the sink and shut the faucet and disposal off. With the water depleting enough for Bale to move from the corner of the sink, he ran out toward the middle, jumping and waving his arms in victorious glee, yelling up at Theandrel for rescue and alerting him to his presence.
Bale, what the unholy half of the council are you doing in my sink?
It's a wild story. Mac and I were sitting on the couch after stealing all your things when I tricked you into using castor's ire on me, Bale said, as plain as day, slapping his hands over his mouth, wishing in that moment he had no mouth, just like...
Damn it, man, like who?
Theandrel asked, obviously hearing the narration, same as Bale. I don't know. I can't recall. I'm almost certain there was someone.
Someone? Sometime? Somewhere? Where is he, Bale? Are you, Bale?
Of course I am. Are you?
Look inside yourself, Bale. Look deep inside.
What do you see?
Myself, of course. Oh, do you? 'Cause I see something.
Sinister.
Something hidden. Interesting.
Why don't I open you up and take a peek inside? Just rip you right open and look right in there.
By God's man, stay back!
So caught off guard by the sudden shift in Theandrel's demeanor, Bale stumbled backwards, tripping over his feet. The terrifying image of Theandrel laughing louder and louder, the grin literally going from ear to ear. When he braced to catch himself on the ground, he realized there was no ground. He had fallen into the drain. By gods, probably on his way to a metal, choppy death right now. As he fell, he could see Theandrel looking down the hole, laughing so loud it echoed from everywhere. He could feel it inside his bones. Until all that could be seen through the top of the drain was Theandrel's eyes, and all you can hear was that laughter. By God, the laughter. Until he was surrounded by nothing. He was still falling. He kept bracing for an impact that never came. Till finally he opened his eyes. Just free-falling, floating in the air. And then he realized he was standing on his feet, on some invisible ground. Everywhere he looked, there was nothing. Sound had started to dissipate as well. It was absolute quiet. This was a different type of quiet. Bale could hear his blood pumping through his veins. He could see as if everything was lit, but there was nothing to be lit. It was infinite black. But he could see it. All of it. It wasn't like being in a dark room. It was just nothing. Quite amazing, isn't it?
Holy shit! Gods damn it! By gods, man, you almost gave me a heart attack. Oh, gods, who the hell are you?
Oh, you know me, my friend. We go way back. As a matter of fact, you could say I go all the way back to the beginning. And I'm still around today, baby. By God, man, is that you, Void? In one of my forms. But, yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's me. Well, what's going on, man? I don't even remember what I was doing, where I was at. What was I just doing? You were falling through a drain in a sink, remember? From Theandrel? That's right, I was. Then how did I get here? I brought you here, Bale. I need to tell you this, because you're gonna be the only one that can actually do anything with the information I'm about to give you. There's a power lying within you
That has the potential
to make you one of the most powerful beings
in all creation.
What do you mean? I can't tell you. It's vital that you find this out on your own.
But I can give you, let's just call it a helpful nudge from an old friend.
That isn't really ready for the universe to be
All me, just yet.
I enjoy watching things do stuff. It has been entertaining, and I think I would like to continue watching things do stuff for a few eons more. Not much longer. By the gods, yes, okay, whatever. You tell me, man. All right, listen. This is extremely important. Okay, so Bale. By the gods, I think he's dead.
Hello. You've reached the guide. If you're hearing this message, that means I'm probably dealing with an existential crisis that, if left unchecked, could rip asunder the very fabric of reality, sterilizing every universe in every known dimension, leaving them completely bereft of life until everything, everywhere, is an empty husk, left to blow like a cosmic fart in the wind for all eternity. So, please leave your name, species, point of celestial origin, and the psychic wavelength your consciousness is vibrating on, and I'll get back to you. Assuming the universe doesn't cease to exist, that is.